It's back. What's back, Arch? Well, fellas, what's back is this Jacobsen Homelite. Pretty cool little tractor. It's one of my favorites. It's actually one that I wanted to keep, but I sold it last year. Mikey set me up with it a long time ago, and it was one of the first projects on my channel and getting it running again. And of course, one of that project back then was wiring. Somebody screwed it up. Well, somebody screwed it up again. My customer screwed it up. So I got the thing working really good, used it for a number of years. My only complaint with it was that the engine vibrated a lot. And in fact, I had a live show chatting with Zippo and a few other fellas. And my one friend that was here, he comes here occasionally, he does some of what we do. He said, well, where's the springs on the seat? So somebody kind of got in there and butchered up that area, and we'll look at that in a bit. I did put springs on it, and it helped, but I think like Zippo and I and some of the other fellows were talking about is I think that just that particular design of engine, it's older. It's like 8 horsepower or something like that. It's Briggs. Love the carburetor, but they're a little rough. And then of course this has got an electric clutch on it. So it's PTO, electric clutch. And this is where a lot of people go wrong. They don't understand the simple basic wiring that's utilized in tractors in general. Tractors with belts, but it really gets to them when you're talking about something with a PTO. So although you may not have this tractor, and by the way, this is another problem I see with a lot of people, is they think that they have to repair, in order to repair the thing that's wrong with their machine, it has to be the exact machine. And they just don't have enough experience to realize that, no, what you need is the understanding and the skill set, which is what us mechanics use to fix every machine. So in this episode, we're going to go through the electrical. You're going to take a look at it and see what's going on with it with me, and I have to figure it out. And what happened was, and I'll talk a little bit more about it in the video, is that the fella let the battery go dead, and it needs the battery. There's not enough output from the armature on the engine to run such a heavy-duty clutch like this, an electromechanical servo type thing. And without the battery power there, yeah, you just can't run it, right? And so we'll talk a little bit about that in the video. So that is an absolute, you must have a good battery to start. Now, this thing has a pull starter, and I think that's where things went wrong. Because they used an engine with a pull starter. The fellow thought, well, I can just get it running. And there was enough power left to not start the engine, but to kind of pull in this clutch while the engine was running. However, the battery was left to sit all year, and I get these bugs all over the place. This mosquito is hanging around me, and I'm all welted up. I just heard him go in your ear, right? Didn't you hate that? Oh, well, how was that again, Arch? No, fellas, I'm not doing that again. Arch, can you stay on subject? Listen, I'm trying, all right? You know, old Uncle Arch has got issues. So it's just not enough. And he kind of mentioned that, well, it was starting to, drop out. So he went in there and replaced the switch. This is a normally open, it's a 2 position, so there's no center off. It's on or on. Okay, so when you throw a switch like that in one direction, it's on, but it's the opposite set of contacts. Center ones being the center tap or the delivery. And there's different ways of doing switches like this, and I did a PTO type setup or something like that on my big tractor, and you might want to watch that one as well. And then you flip it the other way, this set of contacts is made, and the other one is broken. So it's on one side, off on the other. You throw it the other way, it's on this side, off on the other. And he threw in, and that's double pole, double throw. He threw in a double pole, double throw, center off, which is just, so there's a center position. So you don't want that at all. And, well, he wired it wrong and sent power to all the wrong places and blew out pretty much everything. So we got to go through it. Stick with me on this one. I do like the machine. It's built very well. I think I have an episode on which is better, the snapper or this machine. Yeah, you might want to check that one out too. It is better in a lot of ways. Let's get started on this video. It really is universal concepts, and I'll walk you through it. I know it gets confusing, fellas, and the video takes a while to go through because there's a lot wrong. These, people are looking for these 5-minute fixes on stuff, and life doesn't work like that. Because if you can fix your life in 5 minutes, God bless you. I'll see you. this is the battery that actually goes in this machine. And let's just take a quick look at it. I want to talk about that battery real quick. So, 12 volt, 12 amp hour. What they originally call out for this machine is like a 6 amp hour battery. And it's designed to do two things. This is pull start, and I think where the fellow went wrong is that he thought, well, pull start, everything runs, I don't need a battery, right? And it's weird that they left the pull start on here. On Sears Green Rider, it's a Takumi motor, but it does not have a pull start. It's electric start only. And that's what they should have done for this. Why? Well, like I said, this was originally a 6 amp hour battery, and we'll get in a little close in a little bit. Somebody hacked out this whole region here to probably put a much bigger battery in, and then they probably gave up because you can't really put a big battery. You can't put one of these batteries in, one of these lead acids that you usually find in a tractor. You need an AGM. So I went and I found this one, Powermole. This is an AGM style, and its dimensions to the terminal is about just under 7 inches. So what is that? Let me get a closer look for you fellas. And in case you come across something like this, you can also use anything. It's a little under 7 inches, and then its width is a little over 5, so 5 1/4, and then sort of the depth is about 3 1/2. And this is twice the size of what the machine originally came with. Now, that's not bulletproof. It is getting to be 3 years old, maybe now, something like that, maybe 4. I don't know. I forget how long I've had that. He's had it for a full season. He said he killed the battery. All right, that's important. All right, because this thing has an electric clutch, which we'll get a good look at. That's the first thing we're going to test. That electric clutch receives power from two places: through the switch from the battery, and also from the charging system on the engine. The charging system on the engine does not put out enough power to pull a massive clutch in. You'll see it. It's big. I took the back cover off. We're going to poke underneath there in a little bit. It's not enough power. With a good battery, the battery is really delivering the current to pull that device in, electromagnetic or electromechanical, really, magnetic style clutch, right? PTO style. It's big, and it's got big coils on it. And when I remember, I was testing it when I had the machine, when I first got the machine a bunch of years ago. There's videos out there on that. One of the problems was I think the switch had burned out or something had happened to the original switch. I put a switch on, and as I was testing it, that's what I found. That with a good battery, you could pull this thing in, and if it wasn't a good battery, it'd start to drop out. Now, he mentioned a symptom like that. I'm not exactly sure of what words he used, but he was letting on to that. Now, when I got it, it was a mess, as you saw. It needs a tune-up. He replaced the switch. There was nothing wrong. I put a calling switch in there. It was an expensive, high-grade switch. Hopefully, he did the switch right. We don't know. If not, I got to figure it out. Because once I saw that, I thought, well, I don't even know what switch it is. I'll look closer. Probably some Chinese switch. Hopefully, that's going to solve his problem. I charged this battery for, at least a week with a trickle charger. One of those trickle little wall wart style that are designed to keep a battery from going dead. That's what he needs. That's what he needs for a machine like this. Put it on at the end of the season for a little while, restore the battery up, get it ready for winter. If you don't want to leave it on, put it on for about a week or so before you're ready to use the machine in the spring. Let's test it out. Let me put this thing in. Let me get you a little bit more acquainted with this thing as I get acquainted with it as well. We got to get in here and poke around. She's in beautiful shape. I want it back. All right, so I found a couple of things. First thing is, this is the wrong switch. All right, it's a center off switch, and if you switch it in one direction or the other, it would be most likely putting power to some place that shouldn't have it, which means that he could have blowed out everything else. Now, I have found that this is not working properly. The only thing that works on this switch is the kill function. The other function is, there's two functions, is to turn power on, essentially what you would consider to be an accessory circuit, and then there, which puts power, in this case, through the system, right? So you can have charging, and you can have, you know, everything, basically all the electrical system working properly, just to go through the circuit for the different safeties. And then the last thing is that when you turn the key all the way, right, momentary, that's your start circuit. Those two circuits are burned out, so this is no good, all right, as far as I can tell. The safety that I have engaged right now that does appear to be working is over here. It's this safety for the clutch system, all right? So I've got that engaged. I do have some power coming through. I have some power on that switch. Power is connected right now to the ground of the batteries. It's the best ground on here. We don't know if this is burned out. I'm going to check that in a bit. So we have an issue there. The other thing too is the starting solenoid in here. Okay, that's down in there. I can't see it just yet. But I have a wire coming off of, oh sorry, there's 3 terminals on there. Let's go back over there again. Hold on. Let me see if I can get your shot. There's 3 terminals. There's the big B positive terminal, right? So when you turn the key to the momentary position, battery juice comes through that solenoid when it's pulled in and active. That's the white wire, and then comes out, and then comes over here, this black wire, and into this, and turns the starter motor on temporarily until the engine starts. The other one is a power wire, which is like an accessory wire, right? I'm not sure exactly, that might just be a back feed. I'm not sure yet. And there's another wire down in there too. There's the smaller terminals, which you may not be able to see just yet. That one is the start wire, okay? So when you turn the momentary switch here to start, power comes out of one terminal temporarily, goes over to that solenoid that's down in there, right? Pulls in that big contactor, and that's what puts power over to the starter motor. That's not working, all right? And one way I know is I put power to both sides, all right, to those 2 small terminals. Since I can't see it, here, let me get this. This is our little test thing. I burned out my good meters, so I'm going to have to work with some of the other stuff I have. Hang in there. So I've checked both of those terminals. I just put a wire up over here. I grabbed it. So notice how it comes on. Okay, the light comes on. So I checked both terminals. Right now, that solenoid should have pulled in. I would have heard the click, and this starter motor should be going, turn over the motor. So we've got a burned out solenoid too. So we've got a burned out switch, a burned out solenoid. He could have even damaged the charging armature in here, all right? That whole stator and everything. We don't know. That I won't know until I turn the motor back on, all right? I've just emptied the gas out of it because I wanted to clean out a few things. I think the next thing to do is to pull this wire off and see if we can put power to the clutch that's in there, just to verify that that clutch is going to pull in and give us power transfer over to the cutting deck. That's an expensive part, all right? So then with a tune-up and and everything else, he's going to be up. He's going to be up there, okay? We've got at least $50 in parts. I'm going to try to pull out a machine tomorrow and see if I can scavenge some parts. He's got the tune-up. He's got my time, right? It's if we can get it all working. And hopefully he didn't damage that motor. All right, I dug a starter switch, start switch, and a solenoid from one of the convenient tractors. I cleaned it up, lubed it up a little bit. We still need to clean it some more. And then I plugged that in, I bench tested, it seems to be working, but I'd like to clean up the contacts a bit more. Put a little more lubricant in it. I've got this wire, all right, so on the test light, we're grounding the battery, and this wire is going up onto the starter solenoid, which looks like it's a white wire with a black stripe. And that should be the start wire, putting power to the solenoid to pull the solenoid in to start the engine. Now watch. There we go. See, I'm in the momentary start, and you guys should be seeing that. So that's done. Now the other wire, let me go connect it. That should be like a B positive wire, like an accessory wire to turn power on to the machine. That's what I'm thinking. So let me take a peek in here. It's a green wire. It's a light green wire. Let me see if I can connect that one up. Okay. And let's see what happens. So the switch is off right now. And when I turn power on, turn the switch just to on, right? We're not getting any. We're still, either way, look, we're still getting power over to that starter solenoid. So something's not right there, because it shouldn't be either or. So now we got to take the battery out to get to the starter solenoid. Meantime, let's go check out the solenoid that I got and see if it works. All right, simple setup. We have our beeper. Beeper, one side of the beeper is connected to here. This is the other side of the beeper. Okay, so we should have no power right now. I got a wire connected over to the ground of the battery. Let's just grab another wire from the battery. All right, clamp it on. And we're going to go to one of these two terminals. Now, I'm not sure which one. It's probably this one, but we're not hearing anything. It could be dead. They die. And it should be grounded. The battery should be grounded. So we should have voltage. Let's try a different jumper, just to make sure we don't have jumper issues, because I might need to replace some of them. They're getting old. All right, this is a little bit better one. We want to make sure this is grounded well, even though this thing's not in great shape. Okay, we got power, and let's just see. Yeah, just hold it here. Nothing. Okay, so this solenoid's no good too. You'd hear it. Right? You'd hear it pull in. Okay? Alright. Alright, we gotta find another solenoid. Let me see if I have another one. I don't think I have any more outside that I can get to. Alright, last one for the night. Right, I managed to get at one more machine out there. Let's see, this one looks fairly clean. Alright, now, one of these is the start terminal. I forget which one it is, but we'll find out in a minute. Alright, let's see. Oh no. What, are they all dead? I guess so. Yep. Well, I know of one that might work, because I've used it, but it might be hard to get to. Yeah, it looks like these are all dead. That must have been the problem with them. You know, that's a common issue. Because otherwise, you would have heard it. It would have pulled in. It would have clicked. All right, now we know. All right, so I got my ground connected. Don't worry about the colors of the wires, fellas. And this is positive. So listen, and you might even see it. And listen. It doesn't move very far. All right, but it seems to be pulling in. So we should be okay there. All right, let's move to the next issue. I love the chain, by the way. Look at the chain system in there, right? Probably need to put some liquids in that. Service it. Looks like there's a little cap there on that little gear transfer unit. All right, fellas. So let's see. We're going to put the beeper on. I'll show you what I'm doing. All right, this should be. Let's test beeper. There's beeper. Okay, there's beeper. All right, now ground it. Now all of these, they're grounded through here. So if you don't have a good ground, run a ground wire from the battery to the mount, one of the mounts. They just have to have that. This is a Ford solenoid, old school. In fact, this is an old one. I like these because they're designed to handle the current that these things can't handle, right? Cars, trucks, it was the same one on all of them. I kind of like these. I try to put them in whenever possible. All right, so now All right, yeah, let's change this here. This actually goes here. Hold on. Yeah, there we go. All right, so we're just gonna check. We're gonna hear it. You're gonna hear it. And we're gonna check for continuity from here to here, okay? So right now we have nothing. There's a beeper, okay? And one of these terminals, which I'm gonna mark, see, it's this one, hear it? That pulls it in, listen, see? So that one's working. And you might be saying, well, what's the other one? Well, the other one puts power. It takes power from the battery, the B positive side. This might be, either or, it doesn't matter. This might be your starter side. In this case, whichever one makes for cleaner wiring, right? It takes the power from the side that's getting B positive and just creates an accessory circuit. On a smaller terminal, you would put a smaller wire on here and maybe a little fuse link, something like that. And then you could run an accessory or whatever you might need. It's a nice power takeoff point. But one of them is the start. The other one, like I said, is an additional power feed. Nice way to terminate it. Let me clean this up, get it all bright and shiny, and we're going to see if we can find a spot for it. I think I know a spot. See, the one nice thing is that this is acting like a transmission box and electrical box and everything, and that's nice. But, you know, good luck working on it, right? A real pain in the neck. Let me get that out, right? Get this lifted up and see. We're probably going to have to extend the wires or whatever, but that's okay. Let's figure this out. All right, I can't get that last bolt out. I just can't get to it. It might be underneath the drive pulley for the transmission. But look here. This is a white wire with a red stripe. That one underneath this pole, right? That main battery pole, which is the main, underneath this wire, which is the main B positive wire, okay? And then the other one here, so we'll take that off. We got to get these little guys off. This is, I'm pulling off now. This is your wire, this black wire here, that goes over to the starter motor. So we may even want to replace that. There's some extra though, which is good. We need that. All right, I positioned it here. We'll check its position in a minute, but I just wanted to show you. These are cool. I use these for wiring. They burnish in a nice clean spot, right? Because we need a good ground. And hopefully we don't have to run a separate wire. All right, that looks good. I'm doing my rerouting, right? So that's on there nice. There's still plenty of room. I checked it with the battery in. A little bit of abrasion here, fellas. I'm going to put a little tape on that and a little bit of, I cleaned it up, and a little bit of heat shrink. And I buzzed that with my whiz wheel, just quick, you know, my little Scotch-Brite whiz wheel thing you guys might have seen. It's great for cleaning up even contacts. All right, you'll see it in a minute. All right, we got to lengthen these wires. So what's good too is this actually went between the brake lever mechanism that's down there that you can't see. So yeah, we don't want that. And this we got to fix too. This is not good, right? We're going to put a right angle on that. So we got a lot of stuff to do, fellas. And what's this down here? What is that? Why does that go down here? Is it like it's like jammed in? Yeah. All right, we're gonna. So look, it's over here. Right, that shouldn't be over by the brake over there. So comes from somewhere. All right, well, let's sort of. That's your neutral safety switch, which grounds the engine. And what this is over here, I don't know. That could be like a. I don't know what that would be. A round thing? Maybe a diode or something to keep a back feed? I don't know. Coil, choke? I don't know. I don't know. Nice peelers, though. This is a nice tranny. You guys a tranny? You guys like trannies? Just saying, fellas.
Tonight, on the curse of Woke Island, Anheuser-Busch is practically giving their beer away amidst declining sales. Could it be that people are sick of corporate woke agendas? And the world's largest brewing company is royally fucked?
All right, I'll bring you in a little closer in a minute. But going through my stuff, okay, that's a 40 amp fuse, right? So I'm gonna fuse the supply, which comes off of the battery here on this side of the post, which you'll see it in a bit, a little closer. We're gonna fuse it. I extended, I got the wires as close as I could. I do have some stripe wire somewhere, but this is fine. Green. This was white. This one was white with a red stripe. That's our B positive. That's going to get fused, right? That's going to be at the same color as that. And then this is a white wire we had on there. It was white with a black. So that's one of these is going to be our start wires. It's going to come from the switch with power to turn on and to pull in the contactor or the relay or the solenoid. But this is the power takeoff. This has to tie in with the battery, and it ties in over here. I put my ground wire in. You'll get a little closer in a minute. Let's see. Let me get you in here. So once again, right, the output of the solenoid over to the starter motor cable. This is our ground to the battery, and it's tied in, right, to here, and that's all grounded nice, right? And on the other side, we clean that off. So that's tied to ground. That'll go right to the negative terminal of the battery. And I extended this, so we should have no problems here. Yeah, that'll be fine. And let me figure out how I want to lay it in, all right? Quick test. Basically, everything is hooked up, except for these control wires, right? Now, this is the green wire, and I was getting power on it, probably because that other solenoid is all messed up. I got the switch working. We're gonna, when I'm a little bit, I'm gonna, I don't know if you can see it. It's down here. But after I test this, I'm gonna clean up this switch a little bit in the contacts and spray it and then mount it. All right, so I'm gonna turn this to start. All right, so there's nothing, okay? Now, we're gonna come over to this white wire, which was white and black, I think. So this is it. See the light? Okay. All right, so now, and there's no power on this, all right? Now, it doesn't mean there isn't going to be any power on it, but there's no power on it yet. So we have to wait on that. I'm going to connect this one, get this one tied in, clean up my switch, put the switch back, take care of a few other things, and I'll bring you back. All right, quick test. Switch is installed. Now listen. Okay? All right, step one is complete, fellas. All right, now it's not going to be able to start and run or run anything else because the rest of the interlocks are not working. Let me let it down, and then we got to figure out what's going on with that switch up front and check our powers and all of that. Okay, so I put my switch back the way I think it should go. I've got this test light over here on the connector that's to supply power, right, to the clutch, the electric clutch. I've got a jumper into the seat switch, where the seat switch would be, to simulate sitting on the switch, all right? And the ignition switch over here, control switch, is off. Let's turn it on. Right now I'm not calling for blade, so when I throw the switch, right, there you go, lights on. So it's going to, you should see that over there, right? So now, shut the switch off. So even if you were sitting on here to essentially run the blade, okay, is you shut that off, it all shuts off, everything shuts off. What I need to test now is I need to test the engine kill. There's two things that kill the engine. If you have this switch off, you're not calling for the blade, and you're sitting on the seat, and it's you've pushed in the clutch over here on the foot pedal, you can then start the engine, right? And because this will be on, and then you're going to go chick, right? See? So if the blade is on, so let's see. Okay, now what's supposed to happen is that's not supposed to start with the blade on. So I need to make sure there's another interlock here that will control the engine, and if the sequence isn't right, it will either shut off the engine when you don't want it shut off, or it will not shut off the engine when you want it to shut off. So I need to prove that out, and the way I learned how to do it last time was you got to disconnect the kill wire over here, because there's a back feed in the circuit, just like I told you before with that other one, and it will confuse you. So best way sometimes to test circuitry is to isolate other circuits that you're not working on. So you want, if you have a switch and it's some kind of a kill switch or a safety switch, you want to disconnect it, and you want to see the power going in, and then you want to simulate the switch in its two different positions, and you want to see power coming out. And wherever that power may be coming out to, whatever wire, you want to disconnect it from that source too, because you don't know, things can cause weird back feeds, especially if you're not sitting there with a wiring diagram. Oh, here comes the thunder. All right, let me get to the next step. All right, fellas, now let's go through sequence of operations. Okay. See, I just shut it off. The light is off. All right, that switch is off. I'm off the seat. I actually disconnected the jumper. And I'll explain that in a minute. That beep, if you can hear it, there's a beep going on. That beep is the kill signal to the engine. Switch is off. You can take the key out. See? It's permanent. Contact is made here. All right? Now, turn it on. The beep is off. All right? You can now start the engine. You don't have to be on the seat. Engine's running. I could be standing over here and the seat switch is not made because I'm not sitting on it. It's pressure sensitive. Let me go turn on the blade. All right, I want to turn on the blade. Light comes on. Okay, and the blade will run. And I think it's backwards because I need to check the seat, but if I put the jumper on the seat, I think we get a contact, I'm not sure. So that's what I want to find out. Because theoretically, you should be sitting on the seat. If you get off the seat, this should shut off. So now that's the next thing I gotta figure out. So if I'm running the blade and the motor is running and I get off the seat, we need a contact that says kill the engine. So let me figure that out now. All right, I reversed one of the wires over here to get the actuation proper, right? So once again, the seat switch is jumped out as if somebody's on it. So you're sitting on the machine. The seat switch is normally closed, okay? So it would be normally putting power. It's normally closed when you're off of it. And when you get on it, you open it, okay? So my guess is normally closed, the seat's up, right? I'm gonna disconnect my jumper. Okay. Now, I'm gonna turn the machine off. That is beeping because it's grounding out the coil over here. All right, so the motor will stall. Okay, let's turn the engine on. Remember, I'm off the seat. All right, so I don't have to be on the seat. Turn the engine on. Beeping stops. I can start the engine. Okay. Engine's running, right? See? Right? Engine's running. Blade is off. Bulb is off. I can get off the seat. I got park on, right? Don't forget, I still have park engaged. So I got the clutch down and park is engaged. That makes that switch. We haven't changed that. So that's best way to start. It will not start without that down. Now, we go to sit on the seat, okay? And I'm going to simulate when I sit on the seat. Right, when I go to sit on the seat, this jumper is off. So now we go to sit on the seat, the jumper is off. That opens up the normally closed condition. You might hear the engine stall for a second, but then it'll catch up as these different things engage. So the motor's running, I'm sitting on the seat. I want to flip the switch because I want to turn the blade on. Okay? There's no ignition kill. All right, everything's running fine. We're all good to go. I fall off the machine. Normally closed seat switch, I fall off the machine, dead man. The seat switch sends the kill signal over to the engine dies, machine stops going forward. Because remember, you'd be off the clutch, right? So, the other thing we want to test, okay, so that makes sense. Even though the blade is still running, but the engine's dying, and the machine's going to come to a stop, all right? So let's turn this off. Same kill signal. Deck clutch off. Okay, clutch is down. All right, I want to start the machine. I'm sitting on the seat. It doesn't matter right now whether this is closed or not, which is the confusing thing. Even though I have the jumper in, it doesn't matter right now because our clutch is down. I can start and run the motor. If I try to turn the blade on and I'm not sitting on that seat, I kill the engine because I'm off of the seat. All right, so now let's get on the seat, which is symbolized, by me disconnecting this jumper here. Get on the seat. It's in neutral. Okay, so you can only start it in neutral. The engine's running. Let's disengage this clutch here. All right, take it out of park. No change. Good. No signal sent. Let's throw the switch. The blade is running. Why? Because I'm sitting on the seat. Right? I have broken the normally closed connection on the seat because I'm sitting on it. So I've just simulated sitting on the seat. This should work. I'll get you in close in a minute, fellas. This should work. Let me button up a few things, and then we'll be back. Okay, kill signal. Shut everything down. Override. Okay, I think we're good. I'm going to leave the 40 amp fuse in for now. See how everything is tucked out of the way? And this also gets tucked back because we're going to be putting this in. This is just a cover, and I may want to drive a wedge or something in there. I mean, it doesn't move much, but we might want to do something about that in the future. I think this fits nice like this. I didn't even cut anything. I started taking measurements and I went, all right, well, what do you think of that? All right, let me turn a little light on. See? And usually these seats, right, they sit just a touch on an angle, and then when you sit down on it, that spring will compress, and it should be fine, right? I'll give that a shot before I do any surgery. I'll move to the next thing. All right. All right, should be in neutral. I forget which one is which. So this one is the clutch, my right is my brake. So I think that's neutral. Uh-oh, well that's not good. That actually pulled out. All right, we gotta fix that. I think the guy kind of screwed it up. Yeah, he broke it. Yep, he broke this thing. Wow, absolutely destroyed it. Well, that's a problem. Yeah, because it's only in plastic. Oh, that's bad. Yeah, this whole thing is all broken. Now I can't use it. All right. We still got to give it a test. Let me pull these screws out. Everything is broken, this whole thing. Guy really beat the crap out of it. Now I'm not getting anything. There we go. Real slow. All right. There we go. Oh yeah. Feels good. The engine vibrates a bit though. That's the one thing I didn't like about it. Is that it bothers me here in my butt, which is with a bad back. It still vibrates a lot. That I don't like. Let me see what I can do about fixing this, and we'll see. Look like I'm probably going to sell it, though. I mean, if it still vibrates a lot, I'll get rid of it, because it's one of the reasons why I didn't like it. I like the machine. I like the green one better, but he really beat this thing up. All right, that's it for this episode, fellas. Now, if you have any questions and if you want me to explain anything any further, just let me know and I'll make a video, okay? This is already like 40 minutes, so I don't want to make the video any longer than it needs to be, and hopefully you got something out of it. I know it's confusing. Also, it's the first video in the series because, as you saw, right, that plastic riser where the steering column is bolted to, that got obliterated, so he was roughhousing with that, and we got to fix that. We're going to do a couple other things to the tractor, and I put it back up for sale. So that's going to come in subsequent episodes, and we'll get to that. It's a nice machine. It's all done. It's back out there in the field. And last I heard, the fellow that was using it, he liked it, but I replaced one of the belts because it had a bit of a problem with the pulley on the deck. So I replaced the belt. But even the last fellow said that it started throwing belts on the drive system. So that's still a case. I didn't replace that belt. There was a lot of work to do to this thing just to get it sellable again. What I wound up doing is it would have been expensive for me to fix it with everything that was wrong with it, because the guy really beat it up. So I made him an offer to sell him that nice green rider that I liked, right? That little green rider. This way he could have a machine and I could take my time fixing this yellow thing. I was thinking it's orange. I was thinking about keeping it, but I decided, no, I got it to a point. Let's sell it. That's what I do. Let's get rid of it. I got plenty of projects. So I did sell it, and I didn't replace that belt because it was just one more thing. I had a lot of time into it. So I told the fellow, just go get another belt. It's easy. So why the PTO, right? Why, not PTO, the clutch. Why a clutch like this? Well, replacing that belt is super easy. In fact, it was falling off because it stretched, and it falls off because it's super easy to get it off. You don't even need any tools. The only thing you might have to do is disconnect the plug, right? So that you can pass the belt past the wire, if that's in the way. I don't even remember. So it makes everything real easy, and it makes it easier for design, okay? Because in order to set up a clutch system, some kind of a clutch engagement, blade engagement system, or whatever, this is the main drive pulley, right? This, by the way, this thing drives everything. So in this case, to make the machine move forward, all right, because there's two belts, one's for the deck and the other one is to make the machine move forward. You need all these levers and switches, right? Safety switches. So you need more of those mechanisms, and they take up room. They're complicated. They're linkages. There's bushings. There's clips. Throw all that away. Run two wires or one wire, because the ground, you can use a chassis ground, and slap on one of these PTO style magnetic clutches, and you're done. Okay, you got your neutral, and then you got your engage, and in this case, it's blade engagement. Okay, so that's what this thing does, really, is it's blade engagement. So there's your safety, and then you just interrupt power. Like I was saying, if you get off the seat or dead man, you fall off the seat, or you don't do something right, starting the engine properly and having all your safeties engaged, you're not on the seat and all that, you just break that wire, right? You just disconnect that wire through some kind of a safety switch, and you're good to go, right? So you got your safeties, you got your ease of operation, you got less mechanical stuff to go wrong and wear out. That's why we use these things, and that's what makes it a little bit more expensive. So anyway, hopefully this was helpful. Stay tuned for the other segments or videos in this series. And I like the machine. It's a nice machine. It's kind of sad to see it go. When we were chatting about it, it was, well, you maybe want to put a different motor on, put a new motor on, like an overhead valve or something, because they do run a little smoother. They have better flywheels, a little bit better balance. Not that there's anything wrong with the motor. It's just that I have back issues, and I'm getting older. And I would get off that thing, and I'd be like, oh, God, I can't. Oh, my God, my whole world is destroyed. See you guys in the next episode of Archer's Garage. Thanks for watching.